Mass collaboration is hard because you want to get on a personal level with so many people where you feel like you can just be yourself and just suggest things without feeling judged. Roles sort of need to be established. Who's driving the computer? Who's going to play keys? Who's going to be singing most of the top lines?
You know, it's like speed dating, writing songs. You're getting put into rooms with random people. You try and talk about things that are really important to you and pull from those elements to create something that's meaningful and commercial. There's so many different moving parts.
And with us specifically, I mean, I think there's a bit of like mystery to it as well. I think just like some combinations of people in a room just works really well because you're filling different parts of the puzzle. Like you've all got different strengths that you bring to the table. And I think personality comes into it a lot as well. Like just like what's the chemistry of the people in the room.
We met in a little studio. We met just over there in a room. This is where it all began.
It's actually a little bit bigger than I remember, which is interesting.
It's a nice
Maybe I've
room.
shrunk.
It's a lovely room.
Why don't you
true.
guys sit where you sat?
So I was pretty much like this.
Yeah.
I was playing Ed's terrible
And
bass.
Josh,
I was
yeah.
here with my little notebook. I had this like giant green thesaurus that I was carrying around with me that kind of looked like a spell book. It was like leather. I'd bought it at an op shop and I was just so excited to bring it to Song Hubs. And I was flicking through and I came across the word tranquilize and just thought like, wow, that's such an evocative word. Once there was a bit of music underneath, tranquilize seemed to pair well with it as a concept, and then just started building it out from there. We write most, if not all of our songs collaboratively, like from the ground up in the room together. And so it's a huge part of what we do as a band.
Like some of the best sessions, you know, you've got like 3 hours to make something and so there's no holding you back really, so anything could kind of happen.
And I do feel that in the first few hours of the Song Hub session, it felt like all of us were as excited about the song that was getting written.
Yeah, that's
It felt
true.
like it was, yeah, like speaking something about our own voice or taste or creativity, which is really special and what you need in a band.
From a Māori worldview perspective, you know, music has nothing to do with industry. It's pure magic. Māori music in New Zealand is going off, you know, people really want to hear it, and there's this real movement of reconnecting with what makes us Aotearoa New Zealand, like makes us not a generic place, and that's happening for Māori and for non-Māori, you know, it's like, it's a real celebration of who we are.
I feel like I have a big responsibility, but it makes me proud. It makes me proud 10 times more as an artist, 10 times more as a man, 10 times more as a Torres Strait Islander person.
All around the world, a lot of the big hits aren't in English, you know, so there's a real kind of diversity that's never occurred in mainstream pop music before. So I think the timing's just right, and it's been a real success.
Being able to just bring that to people that are in a room listening to my music and singing that live and people connecting, you know, God knows they don't understand what you're singing about, but they feel what you're singing about, and they know, you know, through their emotions they feel exactly, and that's the power of music, and that's the power of love.
To be real, it can be pretty daunting going into the studio and also have the expectation of writing a song. Nobody ever says it out loud, but when you go into the studio every day, you kind of want to walk away with the bones of a song.
As like counterproductive as it is, like starting the day just like chatting, because you're wasting time. Studio time is like chatting, laughing over a coffee, but then you're able to just crack on straight with the music and just try things because people feel a bit more closer personally.
I was working with a girl, Emily Warren, and Teeks and Dave Baxter, and her style is, we're going to have a therapy session. And I remember like 3 hours into the day, you know, we hadn't made anything. We hadn't played any chords or anything. And I was kind of like stressing out a little bit because we still have to have a song at the end of the day. Finally, Emily was like, oh, well, maybe we should start recording something. And because we had talked about it so much, it all just came together really quickly.
I start mostly with the piano, just because it's my best instrument, so I have more range. I sort of just go anywhere, and then I'm like, oh, I like that. I'm just gonna loop that. I mean, I just made this up now, but I actually like that, so I might have to do it later. One of my songs I made for Loyal Kana, I was just literally playing random stuff on the piano, and I went da 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 dum bum bum, and I started playing something else. He's like, oh, that. What's that? Let's make a whole song just literally on that. And then I went away, and that ended up being his track with Georgia Smith called Loose Ends. That spark just comes from improvisation, and then just as soon as someone sees it, just go with it.
I want to experiment, yeah. I think that could be really cool. Be like, damn, boy, you better wake up. You're too loud. You talk too much. Damn, boy, you better wake up. Too loud. You talk too much. Damn, wake down. Too proud, baby. Hold your tongue.
You can sit there and do nothing and be like, oh, there's just no inspiration. But it's sometimes, if you just do force yourself to start, then like there's the start of a drum groove inspires the bass line, and then that inspires a melody. Like it kind of builds on itself. This is how we wrote the song. Very experimental.
Oh, nice.
The vulnerable aspect of collaborating is, there's no way to say it, it's uncomfortable. And the Reo Māori Song Hubs one that I was on, the vulnerability was right there, right from day one, when everyone had to, introduce themselves and say which tribe they were from, and so many people weren't actually connected to their Māori side, even though they were Māori and they identified as a Māori artist. So the vulnerability was right there on the surface, right from the start, like tears. We're talking tears from day one. And I think Song Hubs often gets, like really emotional. So you do just have to kind of cut everyone quite a lot of slack.
When you're with singers, you have to get quickly to like something quite personal. And like that's the skill I've learned over the years, is how can you just like break that barrier as fast as possible so that within an hour they're writing about an ex, or they're writing about the relationship with their mother or something. It's an emotional bond that needs to happen quite quickly.
I think just holding on to that thing of like, you're a group of artists, you know what's good, and if us three think something's really fun and beautiful, there is going to be people out there that are going to resonate with it.
I think a lot of what we both value in a songwriting partner is someone you can trust and be in a room with.
You just have a feeling of someone. I think that's one of the most important things, is how you leave people feeling when you finish writing a song, because it's usually what people remember as opposed to how good the song was. So I stood just over here, and I remember turning to you being like, do you think that this is something that we should continue doing like on a regular basis? Like, should we be working together more regularly?
I feel like collaboration, you're putting your best skills to the table, and the other person in the room or the other people in the room are putting their best skills to the table. You are making something so big and so special. And also the great thing about collaboration is you can take those skills away and you can utilize them and use that in your practice in future years.
The beauty of collaboration, I think, it's a lot easier to just sit on your hands and like knock your head against the wall when you're by yourself and you're like, I don't know where to start. But if someone else in the room starts, then you can kind of all build around it.
It was a massive collaboration album, in not the traditional sense of like vocalists or producers. It was more like people, like a community style based thing. And that actually was inspired by my time with the cross collaboration with Appa and Song Hubs. I can't really do a solo album anymore, like I just love collaborating. Everybody